Welcome to another edition of Squad 915 Business Spotlight. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for pressing play. Be sure to check out our socials. Link is in the description. There's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's X, there's Twitch. There's a whole lot of ways you can like, subscribe, follow. Just remember, push that notifications tab so you don't miss a thing. And just so you know, every single one of those likes, subscribes, and follows helps us so much. It's the equivalent of going to an event and buying one of our 3D prints, just because it helps us with the platforms that we podcast to, we stream to, like YouTube and Twitch, and of course Spotify. We get those likes and subscribes, and they say, you know what, you guys are pretty popular and we want to keep pushing you out. So like I said, those things very much help us out a lot, and I would appreciate you supporting us. We want to grow, and we want to continue to give you Squad 915 business spotlights, just like we are going to do today. This one is unique. This one is fascinating. This one is intriguing. Why? Because today we are going to learn about Borderland Roller Derby. Yes, Borderland Roller Derby. And we are going to be speaking today to Pretty, who is the operations manager for Borderland Roller Derby. So let's say hi to Pretty. How you doing today, Pretty?
I'm doing great, and yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much for being a guest here on Squad 915. Very much looking forward to speaking with you, and very much looking forward to educating our audience as to what Borderland Roller Derby is all about. So let's talk about you. 16 years ago, you told me in our pre-show that you were walking out of the movie theater one day and you saw these badass girls on roller skates skating around recruiting, and you said to yourself, I am fascinated with that. I don't have any experience in roller skating, but damn it, I want to know how. And then you also said that you had a boyfriend at the time that said, nah, no, you're not. That's not you. And you said, oh yeah? Well, watch me. That was 16 years ago. So tell us all about yourself, Pretty.
Well, like you mentioned, I've been doing roller derby generally for going on 16 years. You know, I've worked my way up in this league from just a average skater to training to presidency when we were a nonprofit at the time. And now I'm the general manager of El Paso's only bank track roller derby league. So it's been a journey, but I also have other things lined up outside of roller derby. You know, I work for a local news station. I'm a video editor. I do a lot of freelance videography work, editing, and so forth. So, you know, and I recently started doing also graphics for not only the league, but also bands and anyone that just wants a graphic. I'm there, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm pretty well rounded, if I could say so myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, by the way, that brings up an interesting question. I know we didn't discuss this. Your colleagues, your coworkers, how do they feel about you being, you know, a badass girl on roller skates during the Borderland Roller League? What are their thoughts on that?
I typically get, don't mess with her. She's aggressive. She's kind of scary when she gets angry at work. But in reality, you know, I guess it's just my demeanor. You know, Derby has toughened me up a bit to be who I am today. But, you know, I consider myself a nice person. My coworkers might differ and not tell me about it, but, you know, I do get how do you do that? Like, they never really heard of roller derby when I came into my job, and they're like, "Wow, that's really interesting. Like you do that? You know, don't you get hurt? Like, aren't you scared?" And at that point in time when I first started, well, yeah, you know, I didn't know what I was doing at all, and now it's just like, nah, not really. You know, I'm good. Like, you know, I love it.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
I
for
don't mind
sure.
it.
I think is it one of those situations where it's a tale of two personalities with you? You're all soft and very likable at work, and then you put yourself on the track, and you're just like, here I am. I'm pretty, and I'm ready to rock your world, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I always tell people when I'm out and about, my name is Ivy Ruiz, like that's what I'm known. I'm this funny little gal that, like likes to crack jokes, likes to, just have a good time and I have my serious moments as well, but when I'm on that track, it's a whole different persona, I feel more aggressive. I feel more how could I say it? Like cliche alive, Like
Yeah, you
that's just
feel very
how I feel.
competitive. You got that competitive personality and comes out of you and on that track, and you're focused on getting the win for your team, which happens to be the Sexecutioners, right?
Yes, the
That's
executioners.
pretty cool. Cool. So let's go back to what we talked about. 16 years ago, walked out of the movie theater, found these cool girls on the roller skates. What was your thought process on that?
Well, like I went, I like how you said, I saw a group of women. They were outside of the theater. They were rolling around. They were passing out flyers, and I was intrigued by it because I had never seen a group of women that, well, for one, that are on roller skate. It looked like a gang of women, so it's kind of intimidating. But I was intrigued by it. One of the women, they came up to me and they passed me a flyer, and it was like a recruitment flyer, and they said, you should join. And I just looked at the flyer, and I just, I thought about it at that moment, but my ex at the time was just kind of like, nah, like you're too shy. And he wasn't wrong. Back in the day, when in my younger years, like I was very shy. I was very, afraid to do things out of my comfort zone. I wasn't as confrontational at the time, but honestly, with that flyer in my hand, I felt that I could be something else. I could be better. And to be told that no, you can't do it, it just raged me more and pushed me forward to be like, no, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to prove you wrong. So, obviously, 16 years later, this is where I'm at and this is what I'm doing. And I feel most comfortable in my skin now than I did before.
That's really intriguing story for sure. Tell me about day one of practice. How did that go?
Oof, day one of practice. I remember going into the venue. I remember seeing, people I've never seen before. They looked a little bit aggressive. I walked in. I did not know my left from my right as far as how to put my gear on, how to put my skates on. Did I buy even the right equipment that I needed to even jump on the track? I remember having one particular person come up to me and be like, you know what, let me help you. So, I mean, that kind of completely gave me a different outlook of these women
Mm-hmm.
as far as thinking they're aggressive to actually they're really sweet and they're actually willing to help. So I mean, she came up to me, she helped me, she helped me put the gear on. And I just remember when I stood up, I was like, whoa, like this is completely scary. You're on eight wheels and you're trying to move your body. I had never been on roller skates. I had never skated in my life. I used to, skateboard, which is completely different. I used to use a scooter,
Mm-hmm.
but roller skates was, yeah, it was not something I was used to. But I did have these ladies that were already kind of seasoned, where they helped me onto the track. They're like, okay, you're gonna have to get low, make sure that you're closer to the ground. That way, if you fall, it's not impactful for you on your body. And yeah, ever since that moment, I started, they were teaching me like, all right, this is how you skate. And I was getting pretty comfortable for a little bit until I fell on my tailbone and I hurt it pretty bad. But, it didn't stop me from going to the next practice or the following. And I just little by little I was learning and learning how to become a better skater so that I could compete and that I could, be officially part of a team and do what everybody else is doing that they love.
That's fantastic. You said that there is a lot of the girls and there's guys because there are some co-ed teams too that have a variety of different stories and backgrounds that we discussed about why they joined the league, why they are doing what they're doing, why are they skating around this track at high speed, bumping into each other to get points and ultimately win the bout was what it's called in the roller derby league. And so tell me about kind of how some of the backgrounds as to that you found most intriguing about why they joined Borderland Roller Derby.
When I first started, yeah, you get to learn the people around you. You get to know them. You get to understand their personalities, their backgrounds, and especially in my position now. The one thing I love to get to know who I'm skating with, who I'm training, who is on that track with me. And it's fascinating that you have all walks of life. You have people that come from military, since El Paso's pretty much military. And you have military wives that are like, they want kind of like a break from home and something to call their own. So they come and they join the league. Or you have people that, unfortunately, they're going through something tragic in their lives. So a divorce, maybe a death in the family, and they just needed something like an outlet to kind of get away from that negative space that they're feeling. And roller derby was there for them. You have people that, just came up like me, just came up on a flyer and they're like, yeah, I want to do it. But it's just fascinating to know that there's so many things that brought all these women together and essentially men all together, because the one key goal is they want to make it their own. They want to find a home away from home
Mm-hmm.
and just be able to interact with other people, and based off of something that they grow and love.
Sure.
And that's something I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Some of the stories were very intriguing. Some of the stories that we talked offline before we recorded was amazing, and was very intrigued to hear about that. And I'm actually very thankful that they had that outlet to be able to turn towards Borderland Roller Derby to be able to channel that negativity into a positive thing, and that's a wonderful thing to be out there and have the crowds cheer you and do a good thing to win the bouts and the jams, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute when we discuss the fundamentals of roller derby, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are like, how do you play that? And so we'll get into that in just a minute. But yeah, it was very cool and inspiring to hear those stories. So let's talk about roller derby. I told you before, I've seen it a little bit on TV, maybe a YouTube video or two, but that's as far as it goes. So talk a little bit about how roller derby works.
So roller derby is basically you have 4 quarters, 4 timed quarters. Each quarter, depending, there are jams. So each jam is about a minute long. So the way that it's set up is when a jam is getting set to play, you have 4 blockers from each team and they line up in the blocker line. So essentially it's known as a pack. So it's a group of 8 skaters, 4 from each team. In the back, you have what are known as the jammers. The jammers are distinguished by the stars on their helmets. They are known as the pretty much the scorers. So when the first whistle blows, the blockers take off. And once they reach a minimum amount of feet, then the jammers take off on the second whistle. And the goal is for the jammers to get through the pack. That's why you see a lot of hitting and you see a lot of pushing, because it's a offense and defense type of sport. You're trying to get your jammer through while you're also trying to prevent the opposing jammer from getting through. Once one of the jammers gets through, they're known as the lead jammer. That lead jammer can either call off the jam at any point, or they can go for the full minute and try to collect as many points as they can. Once they get through the pack first, they go all the way around again, get through the pack again, and for each opposing player that they pass, they collect 1 point.
Perfect. I think you spelled it out pretty simple. I think when we talked, we kind of made examples more to the football term, and I'll kind of sample it that way as best as I can and fill in those gaps. So you have your pack, which is 4. You have your blockers, which is there 3, and consider that your line, your offensive line or defensive line. And then you have your jammer, which is basically your running back or your wide receiver that is going to essentially try to advance to score.
There
And
you go.
right.
Exactly.
And so on the other team, you have the defensive line that is trying to block the offensive or jammer to get ahead to score points. The jammer, which again, running back or wide receiver, passes the opposing team, and that's essentially scores a point, right?
Yes.
Okay, did I simplify that enough?
You simplified it as much as you could because, and I agree with you. When people don't understand, I try exactly as you're doing. I try to relate it to something that's more common. Football, apparently everybody knows football, at least maybe even the general aspect of football and how it's played. So I always use football to explain roller derby in some odd sense. But yes, like your blockers are just, they're there, they're helping you, and like I said, it's a offense defense simultaneously. You're playing it simultaneously. So as you're trying to offensively help, you're also defensively trying to prevent the opposing jammer from getting through. So you're doing like 2 jobs at one. Like everything is just chaotic when you're in that pack.
Sure.
But yes, that's exactly.
You know what's funny is because when you and I were talking in our pre-show, you explained that to me, and I immediately started kind of comparing it to what we were talking about with the football terms, and I was like trying to associate that. And so when we're recording today, I was like, okay, I'm going to use it that way. So when somebody's listening, they can understand. Oh, okay, so that's kind of how it works, and you kind of see the mechanics of the game, or bout is what they call it in the roller leagues, the roller derby leagues, that is. And so I think that is a very simplified, fundamental way to explain it. Now, of course, you want to come out to these events and see for yourself, and then you'll be able to take this knowledge, apply it to the season opener event, and you'll be able to make those comparisons, and then it just kind of goes on, which we will talk about that here shortly. We'll talk about the season opener and everything else moving forward. But just to go back to the mechanics a little bit. So once again, I think you said there were 8-minute quarters. I think you said there's like a little intermission in between the quarters, and then there's a halftime. There's 4 quarters in total, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then so that's kind of how it works. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so there's 4 quarters. Each quarter is about 8 minutes long. In between those quarters, you have maybe like a 5-minute resting point. So once quarter 1 is done, 5 minutes, they give the girls a little rest. Second quarter begins. Once it ends, we hit into halftime. Our halftime shows usually consist of a local band playing. This gives time for, the audience to go ahead and, go get snacks, go look at the vendors. It also gives our skaters time to kind of unwind a bit because, I mean, this game in itself playing is pretty intense. It takes a toll on your body, the adrenaline, everything. So it just gives them a little bit of time to kind of rest up, get ready for the last 2 quarters. Then after halftime, then our third quarter starts. And this is where it gets kind of intense because usually third and fourth quarter, it's a make or break. Some of these, points, they're so close that, a lot of teams depend on the third and fourth quarter because it could be that one team is going to score just by 1 point and win the game, or another team just needs to catch up, and they depend on those quarters to catch up and try to win the game. So I would say usually it's the second half of the game that gets really intense.
Yeah, it sounds like it because, I think we all understand that the first half is kind of to feel each other out, score some points, and then the second half is where it really starts to amp up because, like you said, it's a make or break, whether it's a win or a loss at the end. And the teams know, okay, we're ahead by this much, we're down by this much, and this is what we need to do to make those second half adjustments to be able to, like you said, how to properly strategize things. And you said this game, this league is all about strategy. So you want to talk about that real quick about how the team strategize to score?
Yes, so I mean, each team, they have their own time during the week to practice just as a team and to strategize how they want to be on that track. And a lot of strategies used on that track are very different. It just depends. I always, because I'm a skater myself, I always tell the newer skaters that come in to get used to the fact that you might have a game plan when you're off the track and getting ready to jump on, to when you jump on and that game just goes out the window. That game plan just goes out the window. So, I mean, strategizing is always changing, but I mean, there are some generic fundamentals to strategize. So, I explained the jammers. So, jammers, once they get through the first initial run, once they get through, they get what is known as the lead jammer status. As of this year, that jammer status does change. So, if I'm jamming, and I get through, and the opposing jammer also gets through but also passes me, she initially steals my lead jammer status. So now she can control the jam, meaning she could either call it off or she can keep on going for the full minute. Now in that strategy, I mean if I'm the one who's jamming and I get through and I see the opposing jammer coming in and I know she's going to steal that lead, I would just call it off because I would just call off the game so that neither her or I are going to score points. Another way is also if I just want to get through the pack, get my lead jammer status, go around, collect my four, and call it off. That's another strategy. Blockers also as well have strategies. They will either stick by a skater that they feel that they're comfortable with competing against so that they can get them out of the way and help their jammer try to get through. It all just depends, honestly. Like what is going on, what is the situation within that particular jam in order for you to utilize a strategy that you feel is going to work. And I think that's what makes it very interesting. It makes you think. This game makes you think, and it makes you think on the fly. Like I said, you could have a plan when you're getting ready for the next jam, jump on, and then you realize who you're competing against, and you're like, oh yeah, this is not going to work. So you have to change it up all of a sudden. And even during the jam, while you are skating and while you are hitting and trying to score points, you might have to change up the game plan again. It's just constantly changing to fit what's going to work at that particular moment.
Yeah, and like you said, there's constant strategy. There's constant scenarios that the teams are trying to formulate to be able to, either defend or collect their points. And you said before there's a referee that's monitoring the progress, making sure everything is legal when it comes to the rules. There's also penalties too, right? So if somebody
Yes.
causes an infraction, what kind of penalties can somebody incur during the bouts?
Some of the penalties that are more common for our league are usually like we call it like the chicken wing. So if a girl's coming in to hit and they extend their elbow out and hit the opposing blocker or skater, doesn't matter, you can't do that. You have to keep your arm in. You have to keep it tucked in. That's how you hit properly. So you would get a penalty for that. You get a penalty for tripping. If you fall and you don't fall small and you trip another skater over you, that would be considered a penalty. Anything that impedes in the game that you do illegally, that would cause you to get a penalty. We also have what we call to our new skaters the legal and illegal zones. So there are proper ways to hit an opposing player legally, meaning anything from the bra strap out. The chest is legal. You could hit the chest. You could hit your hips. Anything below the knee is considered illegal. Hitting anywhere in the head is illegal. The back, anything that is considered in the back all the way to your crack, that would be considered illegal. So, I mean, if you at least hit properly and hit in the legal zones, you avoid a penalty. But if you serve a penalty, once the jam ends, and let's say I receive a penalty for tripping another skater, what will happen is now they're going to be like, okay, Miss Pretty Poison, penalty for tripping. So I'm going to have to go into the middle to our penalty box. I sit there for the next jam. That means I hurt my team because now a blocker of mine for the next jam has to sit out. So now instead of having 4 blockers, I only have 3 blockers. Let's say 2 people commit a penalty in jam 1. So for jam 2, 2 blockers are going to sit out and only 2 are going to be on the track. So, I mean, it helps the opposing teams when someone comes down off the track because then that's one less player to worry about.
Sure. No, that makes complete sense. It kind of sounds a little like hockey too, where they go and sit in the penalty box and they have one less player on the ice, and so
Exactly. Yes.
exactly. So, but you also said that you make your penalties a little interesting. You have a penalty wheel, right? So tell us about that.
Yes. So the fun thing about Borderland Roller Derby is we are not only athletic, but we try to bring entertainment into the aspect of the roller derby realm. So when people come and watch one of our games, they have the opportunity to see what we have stationed at our venue is a penalty wheel. And on that wheel, there's several different items that can happen. So when 2 skaters commit a penalty and they serve the penalty wheel, the wheel spins, and wherever it lands, it could be pillow fight, it could be tug of war, it could be long jump. We used to do it back in the day. I don't think we do it anymore, but like our arm wrestling, we would have these fun little entertainment penalty serving experiences where, our biggest one is usually pillow fight. Who
Yeah.
doesn't want to see 2 girls pillow fighting on skates? But that's probably our biggest one. And honestly, who best luck to whoever wins, they serve their penalty and they get a point for winning that challenge.
Yeah, when you told me that not only was a penalty wheel was involved, but you said that the possibility of 2 of the players pillow fighting, my mind was blown. I was like, I am very much looking forward to seeing that in real life for sure. And yeah, this is pretty cool stuff to hear because it's not only a game, but it's also entertainment and it's very interactive because you also said too that you make it interactive in a way where the crowd, the audience can actually do things like, for example, you said you had one time where you themed things like Mario Kart, where they can have different type of weapons, like in the game, like shells and bananas and all that stuff. So explain that.
Yeah, so last year we did an interactive bout, and it was during the month of Pride, and we chose to do Mario Kart. So in Mario Kart, you have your boxed items, and in each item, when you pass through them, you can get a mushroom, a blue shell, banana, the red shell. So what we like to do is we like to do these fun little interactive games to get the audience involved. We call it the audience, the fans, they control the game, the outcome of the game. I would have a said box. We actually created these boxes to look like the boxed items. And then we had the items inside. Our fans would come up, they would pay like $2 or $3, and they would be like, okay, I want to give orange team an advantage. So I'm going to get from the orange box. So they'll pull out a card. The card would be a mushroom. And in the mushroom, it would be, okay, well, the jammer's going to get a 5-second head start. So that would help the team of their choice get the advantage. Or I would have another fan pay $2 to $3 and they would pull from the black box for the black team. And it would be a blue shell. And the blue shell was pretty much I would knock out two players down from the track, two blockers. And that would give that team the advantage that they have two blockers down from the opposing, and so they have the advantage of having all four blockers on their team. So it gets kind of crazy because usually during the interactives, I rarely ever play the interactives because I'm constantly running the games. And during that particular game, I just remember being like bombarded by fans just giving me their money because they get so into it. They get so, the fact that they can control, what's going on the track, I think that was intriguing to them. And so I would just have a line. It was to the point that I had to pull a skater who also wasn't playing. She was, I think she was running the merchandise table, and I was like, girl, I need your help. Like, I need you to stand with me, collect, and help me out. Because it does get crazy. People get really involved in it. And ever since, like, us doing our very first interactive, I know we had done one a couple years ago off of like St. Patrick's. So we did like a pot of gold, and each coin had a different also like a very different item. So it would be like, yeah, same thing, 5 second head start for the jammer, or one player down, or power jam, meaning that there's only one jammer on the track. People got so involved in it that it made us realize, like, let's keep doing this, let's keep getting the fans involved. So this year I haven't decided as of yet what I'm doing for the interactive, but I do know that I love the fact that people get so involved in it. It mind blows me how fans just love to see what's going on, and the fact they could dip their hands in it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you're obviously, we're talking about the startup of this year, which happens to be next month, March 16th, 2025. So if you're listening to this podcast a couple years from now, just know that every season there is something different that they create or pretty you create as far as the interactives. And so definitely want to checking out these events and seeing for yourself, and of course following, which we'll discuss and put in the description about as far as the social media, so this way you can keep up to date with Borderland Derby and find out what the interactives are all about. And so let's talk about the league itself. So tell us a little bit about Borderland Roller Derby.
So, Borderland has been around since 2008. It was established by a group of women that just wanted to bring roller derby into El Paso. Roller derby had the modern version of roller derby because it's been around since the 60s and 70s, but it was brought back, modernized in around the same time that we had begun in Austin. And, we had skaters at that time who are still have like this huge impact on all of us because they're the pioneers of bringing roller derby into El Paso. But they started the league in 2008. It was a flat track league, meaning that we didn't have the bank track that we have now. We used to literally just tape rope on the floor and just create a track. And we skated on all types of surfaces. I remember skating on tile, I've skated on concrete, I've skated on like smooth surface, horrible surfaces. But I mean, at the time we had no idea what we were doing. We were learning as we were going. We were trying to establish, we were taking whatever we could get. If there was a body shop that had oil and cracks on their ground, but they're like, you guys can practice here, I mean, we took it. So it's evolved so much from skating on tile to the Coliseum, honestly telling us like, okay, well, you guys can come here, you can skate here. And that's what we did. But our end goal was always that we wanted to be a bank track league. And, bank tracks are not very common. There are not very many bank tracks in the United States. I had mentioned to you prior, like before COVID, there were probably 11, if maybe a little more, bank track leagues that were known to have a venue, to have a bank track, if not a venue, somewhere where they can pop up a track to skate on. But they weren't very common. And we were fortunate saving and trying to market ourselves enough to create revenue and to be able to purchase one. And we just happened to find one. One day, a track came into our lap, and all we had to do is just pay for it, pick it up, bring it back. We established that around, I want to say 2013, 2014 is when we got our bank track. And she has a name. Her name's La Llorona. That's the name of our track, and she has been with us since we brought her here. And now El Paso has that gift of being, one of very many few cities that has a bank track in their city.
Yeah, you
So
said you
to me,
grabbed it. You said you grabbed it from Denver, right? The Denver area. You guys were able to purchase the track up there and then bring it down to El Paso, right?
yes. There was another league. I wasn't quite sure on their backstory, but there was another league that was selling a track. They were selling it. We bought it. We had the funds to purchase it. And it was a fixer upper, yes. I mean, it's not very common you come to a brand new bank track, but we made do with it and we did fix her up. She was green and you could tell that she was kind of falling apart, but we brought her and we gave her tender loving care. And now, granted, she still needs work every now and then, but she is sturdy and she is still up and about. So that's our track and we love her, and that's what we play on.
I find it fascinating that your track, is you refer to as she, so that's pretty cool to see. And she can probably be very, very cooperative at times when you're trying to score points, and yet she can be very, very difficult when trying to defend. And I'm pretty sure that
Exactly.
all the teams kind of share the same stories when it comes to that. So let's talk about the teams. There are 3 teams currently starting the 2025 season, but the league itself is about 60 strong, right? 60 members and
Yes.
staff strong. So let's talk about that.
So, yes, our league consists of 60 members. It goes from skaters to volunteers to officials to your heads, but there's 60 of us. Teams, there's 3 teams within our league for the 2025 season. We have the Sexecutioners, which is my team. We have Las Viudas Negras, and we have Las Diablas. These are the teams that will be competing for the 2025 season, and their end goal for this season is to make it all the way to October championship. And who gets the golden skate? There's literally a golden skate. Well, it's not gold, but it's a skate on a plaque, and they want to take it home. It's bragging rights, really.
Yeah,
So,
no,
I
absolutely.
mean, but yeah, I mean, because a lot of people say like, "Pretty, you do so much for the league," but honestly, none of what this league is could be done without everyone involved, from the skaters to the officials to the volunteers that we have. Some volunteers are not even skaters. Some volunteers are former skaters. And it's just, fascinating to me that all these people is what make this league. I couldn't do it without them, and vice versa. Like, we need each other. And that's the beauty of the league. Is just we have all these members to get things done. If we have a track breakdown, I can't do it by myself. These men and women come in, and they break down their own track and they build their own track. This is like a community in itself that we have to be together. We have to stay strong together. And that's what I think I love about the league, is that we all work together to make sure that we're growing strong. I mean, there's even like, I've already recruited my mom. My mom is actually one of my officials. She's
Nice.
actually helps me out with that too. I have family within my league that come in and help me. My grandmother, I remember I was struggling because I was, running around, doing the operations of the game. And my grandma's like, don't worry, mija, I got this. She stays at the ticket sales and she starts taking tickets because she's so good at math. So I mean, not only is it like just members only, we have our families that come in and they help us out. So I mean, what better sport can you do that with roller derby,
No, of course. And this league would not be possible if it's not for everybody involved, the teams, the members, the staff, you, of course. But the genesis of this entire league starts with one owner. You want to talk about her for a minute?
Yeah, so she is the owner. She's been around for quite some time, since the beginning of time, actually. She is a dear friend of mine, but she has a great passion for this league. And obviously, because she's been here longer than I have, I jumped in probably when the league was starting, but they were kind of already getting established. But I mean, she does love this sport. She loves the girls, and she has a heart. She has a compassion for everyone involved, and a lot of what we do couldn't be done without her as well. She's kept us afloat for many years.
Yeah, of course. And of course, with her leadership, it all trickles down to everybody that's creating these awesome events. And as I told you before, never seen a roller derby league, much less Borderland. And so I'm very much looking forward to experience this for the first time for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the 2025 season. So let's talk about kind of what people can expect, because I know that the games or the bouts are played at the Coliseum behind, more on the south end. You guys have your own dedicated building with your track, and she's in there ready to start the season as well. I'm sure we're talking about your track. And so, and I'm pretty sure everybody's excited to know about this season. So let's talk about that. What can you let everybody know?
Well, I mean, personally, I'm excited about this season. I've been planning this season since last year. I always take at least 2 months ahead before a season starts to start planning. But this season, they're looking at, familiar faces. Fans do have their favorites that they see on the track. But hey, there are going to be new faces added to this season as well. We do have a new skater class that is actually going to be graduating soon. So you will see new faces on these teams. So that's also something that's going to be exciting. We have some of the themes planned out. I'm excited about some of them. I'm kind of like, my girls want it, I'll give it to them, but I'm just like, meh. But I'm actually, you know what? I take anything and I make it spectacular. My girls will make it spectacular. But I'm excited for the themes. I'm excited for to see the new skaters on that track. I'm excited to even skate with the familiar faces I know on that track. A lot of girls have, changed since the years and in their skills. So I'm excited to see what they bring to the table this year. I'm also excited just for what the league is doing outside of games. I want to do more community outreach. I want to do more schools. That's something, a passion of mine. So I do want the league to go and do more school stuff, like school assemblies, more events outside of just games. But this is all within planning, and the community, if they hear this podcast and they're like, you know what, I want Borderland Roller Derby at this event I'm throwing, well, then shoot me a text, shoot me a call, and I will take myself and my ladies there. But I am really excited. I know the girls are really excited. They've been training since the beginning of February is when we started officially. But a lot of girls are just excited to jump on La Llorona and just start, kicking ass. So I'm excited for them.
Yeah. And so, absolutely, I'm looking forward to it myself. So the venue is basically behind the Coliseum on the south end. The track's in there. The stadium, the bleachers are there. You can hold about 300 people in that venue. People will be able to purchase their tickets. They will walk in. You will have some concession stands. You will have vendors. And so there are ways for people to buy snacks, buy food, buy merchandise. And then the event actually starts. And then it just kind of repeats the process once a month, correct?
Yes, so we do have a game once a month, and it's always on a Sunday. The schedule's already out, so if you follow us on social media, our schedule is out there. So all the dates for up until November are already posted. So once a month, Sunday, get doors open at 5. Game starts at 6. We go up until 8:30. Then we have our after parties at Hope and Anchor.
And if anybody who is interested in wanting to partner with you guys, you're always open to having a conversation with them. If there's any vendors that wish to be there, you're always open to welcoming new vendors. That's one option. And so you make it as open for anybody to participate in the Borderland Roller Derby. Is that correct?
Correct. So if, for example, you are in a band and you contact me and say, hey, I'm interested in playing one of your halftimes, I always find an opening within whatever game we have offered during the season. And I said, hey, I have an opening for, let's say, August. All right, August, if you're down, you can play in August. Vendors as well. I do get several different kinds of vendors, all kinds of vendors, and I love any kind of vendor because it helps their business as well as it helps ours. It's like an exchange. But I don't ever limit what kind of vendor I want. If you're willing to be there and sell, by all means, just let me know. You pay a vendor fee, you sell whatever it is that you're selling, and then you get to also enjoy the game. I mean, I've had vendors like, hey, here's a bracelet. When you have time, you can go in, kind of catch the game. And I do have a lot of vendors that do that. I'll see the vendors just standing there and they're like, oh my God, like I should have just watched the game instead of started selling. But I mean, they also enjoy what's going on, the atmosphere itself. But I have food trucks, I've had jewelry vendors, I've had anime vendors, I've had treat vendors, I've had even pottery. I've had people sell pottery. This is something that we like to help out other people or businesses, and this is their opportunity, to take that and try and just get more out there. It's fun. I mean, if you're interested in partnering up with us or just coming and saying like, hey, I would like to do an event with you guys, by all means, let's talk and let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can make.
Yes, no, absolutely. And very much looking forward to seeing the other vendors that are present, especially the food trucks and the merchandising and stuff. As we wrap this podcast up, 2 questions come to mind, and then we're going to make a very cool announcement here shortly. The first question is tickets. How do people purchase tickets?
So tickets are sold through our partnership. So Hope and Anchor does sell our tickets at their establishment. So if you're ever interested in, hey, I want to get a drink and buy a ticket to go see roller derby, you can go to Hope and Anchor and they'll sell tickets. We do have like Lou Fresh. Lou Fresh, he has sold some of our tickets as well. He's a tattoo artist and a piercer. You could go with him and buy tickets. But I think the most common that you can buy tickets from is our skaters. So the skaters usually take in the tickets and they go out there and they start selling. So if you ever run into a roller derby skater, you can bet they have tickets on them so you can buy tickets from them. Or you know what? You're not ready to commit and buy tickets in advance. You can always buy tickets at the door. Tickets in advance are usually $7, but if you buy at the door, they are $10. So, I mean, you have options to get tickets, so there's no excuse why you can't go to a game.
Another question is recruitment. Anybody who is listening to this, any guy or girl, are like, this is really intriguing to me. I think I might want to join the league. How do they do that?
So, if you're interested in joining, we do hold classes. Our current class is wrapping up, so they should be graduating in March. We will be taking in a second class, advertising in May, beginning the class in June. But if you're interested in joining, you can contact us any time of the season, and we just put you on a waiting list until a class opens up. But probably the most prominent time we're going to be recruiting. So if you're interested in joining, you can always contact the league Facebook page. You can contact the Instagram page. You can even contact me personally. I always put my number on the flyers. So if you're interested, you can just get at me directly at 915-996-7004 and just let me know, like, hey, I'm interested in skating. What do I need? How do I get started? And I help you out through it. That's my job. Like, that's what I love to do, is I love to just get people into this and bring them into it. So you can always just contact and we'll help you get started. And hey, if you know a skater or you know a member of the league, ask them, like, hey, I know you're part of this organization. Like, how do I get into it? Like, what do I do? They'll tell you exactly, like, hey, well, we have practices here and there. Contact Miss Pretty Poison. She'll help you out. There's always a way to try to figure out how to get in it. But your best bet, get a hold of me personally or get us on social media.
Yes, of course. And I will have the information. I'll have all the links in the description. So all you have to do is just use your thumb or your finger to tap on it. It'll link right to you. Or, of course, the phone number I'm also going to put in there as well. So you can actually call to you and talk about the details. I do know that you said that there is a $20 a month membership fee during training, and then thereafter it's a $30 basically membership fee, correct?
Yes. So when you're coming into our new trainer program, there are skatership dues that are required. You pay per month. It's like a gym membership. So if you're a new skater and you're coming in for the training, it's only $20 a month. Once you are drafted, meaning you've passed your assessments, you're ready to go, you're game ready, you get drafted into our teams, one of our teams, and then that goes up to $30 a month. This is something that it supplies what we need, to pay rent or to help out with the track. So I mean, these dues go to use as far as keeping this organization going. But yeah, I always describe the league like it's like a gym membership, so you gotta pay your dues.
Yes, of course. And like I said, any other questions you may have, feel free to address those questions directly to you or even any of the girls in the league. I'm pretty sure they'll be happy to help you out. Last question. What is the future for Borderland Roller Derby? What are your goals? You are the operations manager. You've been doing it a long time. What is the goal that you want to bring to El Paso with the Borderland Roller Derby League?
I think the goal for me personally, I would say I want to be able to walk out on the street and people recognize what roller derby is. Not necessarily just Borderland Roller Derby, but just roller derby in general. I want it to be so hyped that just like football, everybody knows what football is, everybody knows what basketball is. Roller derby has been an underground sport for so long that it needs to have some kind of recognition for what it is, because it is a sport. These are women and men that go out there and they get their ass beat for free. Like, these
Mm-hmm.
are people that treat this like this is something that they love to do, and they want to share it with everyone. So I mean, for me, I would just love to be able to go somewhere, maybe a bar, kick it at a bar, and then someone come up to me and be like, hey, did you catch that one roller derby game? Like, something in along those lines. I just want it to be a little bit more well known. I think for the league itself, I think the goal, and maybe I'm speaking too much on behalf of my girls, but I think the goal is honestly just to continue going, just to continue flourishing. And, I had mentioned to you prior, the one thing that I enjoy the most is what this league brings to everyone involved. And I spoke about it earlier. You have all different types of men and women that choose why to join this league, whether it was a divorce, whether it was because I just moved here and I want to make friends. All I do is just go to work and come home, and my kids are screaming and I need somewhere to go. It doesn't matter, but the fact that we all come together. I like that aspect of the league. And I would like to continue, as well as everyone else with me, continue building this league so that more people who have the similar backstories can continue being part of a league like this, and being able to be like, this is like my home away from home. Yeah, and as long as we can continue doing that, I think that's the goal. It's just being able to operate for many, many years to come.
Yes, of course. You certainly want to make the league more mainstream, more talked about, more engaging with the community. You want to develop that connection with people, which actually leads us to the announcement, because I'm pretty sure when at the beginning of this podcast, I did mention that, and people are like, well, we stuck around to the end. Are you going to tell us or what? And so we are going to help with that, because we are going to help be at these events. Yes, you heard it. Squad 915 will be at the Borderland Roller Derby League events. We will be there. We will set up our standard booth with the podcasting equipment. Of course, we're going to have our 3D prints for sale, but I think we're going to customize it a little bit, because I was speaking to my fiance. We're actually going to try to customize it a little bit for the league itself, some of the prints. And so I certainly hope that we can make that happen. We're still working on that. But we're also going to do live streaming there. I know we're talking about the logistics of that, but we're going to bring that to you. We're going to bring that awareness as much as we can to extend that reach, to spread that word. Hopefully people are listening to this podcast. Hopefully they can check out the live stream. Hopefully they can watch me on Instagram Live talking to your girls, doing pregame shows. That's what we're going to do as we partner this league and Squad 915 moving forward, is to build that connection, is to allow your girls to tell their story, to allow the teams to talk about what's going on. Maybe a little trash talk in there with each other, just to keep things interesting, right? But we're going to do that. We're going to build that together. And I very much look forward to it. I was very excited. I was like, oh, can we announce this already? But this is happening, and I'm very thankful and I'm very honored to be a part of this league and to help you guys spread the word.
No, we're excited to have you guys. I mean, we would love to show the community like what we're all about, whether it's before, during, or after a game. We just want to be known that, hey, El Paso, this is your only bank track league. This is, for me, historical. You can go to any other state and they might not have a bank track league. They might not have ever heard of a bank track league. But El Paso has one. Enjoy it. Bask in the history of it. That's how I see it.
No, absolutely. And we here at Squad 915 are excited to help you and help the league get the word out, get the message out, educate people about everything, which is why this podcast is going way over than I originally thought it was going to go to. But it's okay, because we're having fun, we're talking, we're educating, we're bringing that awareness to potential visitors, understand what this game is all about, what this league is all about. And as we move forward, we are going to have more podcasts to talk about the next event and the next event. We'll talk about the details as to what you can expect when you walk into the venue and what vendors that are available. And of course, talk about the lineup. Like I said, the pregame show, like who we're going to be interviewing. So if you have a player that is on one of these awesome, very interesting teams that you want to follow, you're going to be able to engage with that player. You're going to be able to follow those players. You're going to be able to track the progress. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing moving forward to help bring more and more people to the venue and create that success. And I will do everything that I possibly can to help you all carry that word out there to the El Paso community, and who knows, even the surrounding communities, because that's what a podcast does. It spreads everywhere. And so definitely looking forward to that. We're going to go ahead and end this podcast because it went way over. But just know that when it gets closer to the season opener, which is on March 16th, a few days prior to that, we're going to have another podcast to talk about the breakdown of the game, the season opener itself. I'm hoping that you can finalize whatever planning you're doing and you can bring it to the next podcast and we can talk about what vendors are going to be there and so on and so forth. And then, of course, after that one, we'll just do it all over again. And then, of course, don't forget, during opening night, if you can't make it, that's okay. You can listen to some podcasts, you can check out the live streams, and you can follow us that way. So as we end this, Priti, give the information on the Borderland Roller Derby, the socials, and how to contact you and stuff.
Yeah, so if you're interested in catching a game, you're interested in what events are going on with the league itself, you can get us on Facebook at Borderland Roller Derby. You can get us on Instagram at Borderland Roller Derby. If you're just interested in one team and that's the only team you go by, you can catch each team. Each team has their own social media. So just look up Las Viudas Negras, Las Diablas, the Sexecutioners. Hey, even our officials have their own Instagram. So you can go to BRD Zebra Squad. So you can look up the officials. If you're not interested in the players, but you're interested in the officials, you can look up officials and they give you the same information as well. If essence you're kind of like, I need to talk to the main, you can always contact me at 915-996-7004 and I'm willing to help you out as far as whatever your needs are. Hey, where do I purchase tickets? How do I get started? I'm there for you. This is what I do and this is what I love. And if we talk derby, what better yet? I don't mind it. I'll talk derby with you all day.
Awesome. And I'm going to put as much of the links in the description as I possibly can, so it's available to you right then and now, including the phone number, so that you can contact directly. And of course, our socials are going to be on there as well, because it's going to be the easiest way to be able to follow along. If you're interested and for some reason can't make it to the events, you'll be able to still follow along as we bring that content to you during opening night, and then of course the events moving forward. Any final thoughts, Priti?
Well, just show up to our games. The best way you can support your local roller derby is to be there, support them, cheer them on. This is what it's about. It's about community. And if you're interested in seeing what this is all about, my best advice to you is to go and check it out. Support us, keep us going. And if you in the community ever need help, that's what Borderland is for. We go, we help you out as well. So it's always an exchange. So if anything, I'll see you on March 16th.
Yes, absolutely. And I very much looking forward to experiencing the season opener for myself, because never been to one, never experienced one. I'm pretty sure I have a lot more to learn, but I'm very much going to be intrigued, and I'm very excited to get to know the league more, get to know the girls more, get to know the teams more, get to know the staff more, get to know about the venue. So very much looking forward to learning about all of that, and of course bringing all that to the audience. And so I want to thank you so much for being on this podcast and helping me and helping our audience understand what roller derby is all about. And we're definitely going to be looking forward to, as we get closer to the season opener, talking again, having another podcast and talk about the lineup, basically about everything there is to look forward to on March 16th.
I'm excited.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much for being a part of this podcast and listening to this edition of Squad 915 Business Spotlight. Be sure to check out our socials. Link will be in the description, along with all the other links associated with the Borderland Roller Derby. And I highly encourage you to like, follow, hit the notifications button, because you're not going to want to miss a thing, especially as we bring on the Borderland Roller Derby. And of course, there's going to be other events that we're in talks about, and you're going to want to see what's going on at Squad 915. So once again, thank you very much for listening to this edition of Squad 915 Business Spotlight, and we will talk to you again next time.